Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to the second mentoring session of Bashaway 2022, organized by the FOSS community of SLIIT. I'm your host, Sairu Bopiti. It's great to see participants joining from the YouTube live stream today. So, let me give you some brief introduction about Bashaway. Bashaway is the first inter-university competition which focuses on scripting and automation. We have planned three mentoring sessions and we have already completed our first session, which focused on introduction to automation with Docker. Today is our second mentoring session of Bashaway, and our topic for today is Bash for Automation. And we have brought an exceptional guest speaker for you today. So before I reveal our speaker, I have a few announcements to make. The recording of this session will be available on our YouTube channel after the live event. And as for the prizes, the first three places will be awarded with very interesting cash prizes. So we will also send a registration link to the live chat. So you can click that link and register to Bashaway right now. So on to our speaker. Our speaker is a graduate of SLIIT and Curtin University, a Red Hat certified architect and trainer. He is an engineer, Linux DevOps Cloud, an AWS community builder, and a co-organizer of DevOps Sri Lanka. Mr. Heshan Dharmasena. Sir, the stage is yours.
All right, thank you very much, Cyril. So let me share my screen first. Right. So hi everyone, welcome you again for the Bash for Automation maintenance session. So I'll be a speaker for today, and I'm Heshan Dharmasena, and I'm a basic computer systems and network graduate, and do have more than 9 years of experience in the industry for systems, DevOps, cloud, and platform engineering. Also, I was delivering a couple of Red Hat trainings to one of organizations in Sri Lanka as well, and I'm one of co-organizer for DevOps Sri Lanka, devs.lk, and community builder for 2022, also technical writer and technical trainer for Medium. Yeah, so welcome everyone. So that's quick about myself. Let's quickly move into the our outlines. Yep. So this is today's outline. What is automation and what is Bash? Use of automations and some pros and cons of automations, and then just like a brief intro about what is shell and where it's located and all, and then we'll move into the shell scripting, variables, and the basic of shell scripting, the things like like conditions, loops and statement, and like those basic things, and some of advanced concepts and text streaming tools, and finally we'll do a small demo. So this is not like a training, but just give you some mentoring experience, why we should use Bash, why we should use Bash for automations, and what is shell and how the shell script works and all. So I think this would be a good session. You might catch some important things from this as well. And finally we have Q&A, so you can hit your questions to me, so I'll probably answer for your questions at the end of the session as well. Right, so now we have 60 minutes of time including the demo, so I'll try to be aligned with the timeline and deliver the things to you all right. Okay, so what is automation? So automation, in the screen you can see the definition. So before, so when I was creating these slides, I was looking at the all the internet, I saw the internet, and what is the exact definition for the automations. So there are like plenty of definitions, but we can't say this is exactly automation. But however, I grabbed one definition from the internet. It says the automation is the creation and application of technologies to produce and deliver goods and services with minimal human interventions. So automation can be different, like IT automations and non-IT automation, but however this is the common definition for the automation which I found. So mainly when we read this term, the entire sentence, we can grab few more points. Like, so automation is to reduce the human effort and human input or human assistance. So without uh, paying your, like without doing lot of manual work, it should be work automatically. That means the human effort what we are going to put should be reduced. Also, it should be able to operate processors of a system. Also, there should be another kind of advantage where the automation should be able to monitor and control whatever the application or the system that we are running. Also, it is to replace repeatable processes and reduce manual interventions. And another one, it is a wide range of technologies. And automation is it is a set of instructions. It just read the instruction and execute the things. So those are the things. Those are the like kind of like a qualities which I found when I find the exact definition for the automation. So finally, this includes these things, everything includes the automation. So IT automation is the use of instructions to create a repeated process that replace an IT professional's manual work. So mainly when we talk about IT professionals manual work, most of people refers that as like data center work and the cloud deployments. However, IT automation conduct the task with minimum administrator intervention. That means it ranges from single actions to discrete sequence, ultimately to an autonomous IT deployments. Right. So that's about the IT automation and what it looks like and what are the qualities of that. Right. So we'll see what are the use of automations. Right. So this is from the IT management perspective or information technology perspective. What are the usage of this? So incident management, application deployments, security and compliances. Right. So what IT automation is used for? So mainly, if we look from the IT operation manager perspective, these are the three things where IT automations like includes. Firstly, incident management, right? Right. Also, there are a lot of organizations in Sri Lanka or in worldwide, so they are facing a lot of major incidents. So IT automation can help the companies to deal with them to manage their major incidents and to find out the incident before it going to be happen. Using the automation to respond the major incident helps enterprises to restore the services and faster with fewer errors. That means without getting more pain, we should be able to capture the things and fix it or whatever, or else we should be able to provide a workaround to mitigate such kind of major incidents. That's how we going to manage the incident management with the automations. And also that helps companies to reduce the duration of the incident and reduce the cost, and then they can keep their customers happily and they can invest their money into something like differently. Like, and the second one, the application deployment. Yeah, right. So usually the traditional way, the organizations, usually most of the organizations are following the continuous integration and continuous application deployments approach, right, to automate their essential tasks and capabilities, like during the testings, and those things that keep them successfully deploy their applications to deliver the customer endpoints. So automation helps the companies progress from commit, like like when it comes to the DevOps, like in the DevOps life cycle there are some stages like commit, build, test, deployment, monitor, and also all these things, the most of these things can be automated. So then that pipeline, the flow will goes automatically, autonomously, without any human intervention. So you can do your application deployment from the top to bottom. So most of things can be automated, so each and every task not need to be go there and like moving one thing from one stage to another stage. Everything, each and everything can be linked, so it will be run automatically without any human interventions. uh yeah, so then security and compliances. That means uh, when we look at from the IT manager, IT operation perspective, we can use the IT automations to define and enforce the security compliances and risk management policies, mainly to remediate any issues. And these kind of things helps to keep the security at the front door of information technology processors to be more proactive in their security efforts. Mainly, when you got some error, like so it is like okay to fix it. But what if that we were able to find out, okay, before it going to be happen? So if we have configured such kind of automation script to capture that before something going to happen, that will be very very good. Like it will be one of like a advantage for us. So we find out something before it going to be happen and we then fixed it. So the so the whatever the loss we are going to be reduced anyway, right? So anyway, so these are the main things of use of automations. So implementing standard automated processes workflows make compliance as well as auditing purposes easier. All right, so that's it about it, and we'll move into the some pros and cons of the automations. Right. So when it comes to pros and cons, so I guess like most of these things has been covered in previous sessions as well, but I would like to like recap those things quickly, because when it comes to theoretical part and some of the concepts, I think it might need help for you. First one is speed, accuracy, intent, governance, flexibility, integration, and interoperability. So so mainly if we talk about the speed, right? Okay, so it is like a set of tasks. Let's say you are whatever the engineer, system engineer or automation engineer, DevOps engineer, platform engineer, whoever. So day to day you will get a lot of tasks to execute or run. So if you could able to automate most of your manual task, then you might have a time to spend for some other work as well. So let's assume every day you have to run some database backup. So in the morning you go to the office and you have to run the entire scripts to take one data backup to another server and compress it, zip it, and delete the older files and whatever the things. So if you are doing the same thing every day, day by day, like it will be very boring. So there will be nothing you to learn new if you do that for like entire continuous 5 to 10 days. Like it's the same thing again and again. Then that will be a BAU task, business as usual task. Since it's like common task that you are executing daily, you should be able to automate it. If you automate it and it will be run automatically run in the first few hours of the office hours, then you could pay your attention to something else. Or else you can pay to attention for that existing script and you can do some enhancement. Maybe you can trigger some alarm, trigger some email after it occurred or after it failed. You can enable some phone call to be doing, like whatever the things. Right now you have some more time to spend on with that. Accuracy. Right. So so if like we are humans, even though there are 10 number of commands to be executed, I might also can do the mistakes. Maybe even if we type some mkdir command, I might miss like mkdri. Can be right, can be, that can be, things can be happen, but it's not the command. But let's say you're copying a file to a remote machine with the different name. So then what happen is the whatever the your backup will be copied to your remote machine with a different name, so that won't be captured by your feeding service or feeding strips or whatever the things. So then it is again the human effort, human error, right? So those errors won't be happen if you automate such things, because once you automate things, you will definitely go there and check it, then only you will activate it. So if it running every day again and again, it won't be changed unless someone do go there and changed it. So the accuracy and the intent. So yeah, that means so it's a automated system and it's not the same thing as the intelligent system. So let's say whenever you need to do some modifications, you have to go there and do that. If not, it will run the same thing. So but again, like when it comes to scripting, there are ways how you could change the behavior of this list by passing a variable, especially by passing an argument. So by passing an argument, you can change the behavior of that. You can change the input of that. So whatever the part that you are passing, you can change it if you pass through the argument. So likewise, you should be able to update the existing scripts if there are any changes to be happen. Otherwise, the same thing will be run for that lifetime. Governance, that means like different organization, different IT administrators perform the same thing in different way. Right? Some might execute the things in a correct way, some might doing it easiest way, right? But there should be a proper way. What you should do, you should take a file, keep a copy in a like correct date and time, how the date and time should goes, YYMMDD, or like that there should be some kind of proper standard governance way you should do. So that also need to be uh, uh, maintained if you're going with the automations. And the flexibility, that means that your process might be changed over time, and the IT infrastructure grows and change their technologies, and the best practice evolve. So automated process remains static until a person decides to change them. So you should think about when you need to like go and edit the scripts, and how long it should be run, and what are things need to be changed and all. Right. So anyway, these are the some kind of like pros and cons in automation. Some might can debate. So there are more drawbacks in automations, and some might can debate. There are some pros in automation. Oh, anyway, it's open to debate. It's automation. We have different tools for that. But now today we are talking about use of bash of it. So this is commonly about the automation, not related to any kind of tools, but there are a lot of tools available right now in the market. Most of them are open source tools. So it's that means they're freely available. You can take it and install it, and you can execute anything. You can see the output. You can put your all the inputs, and you can see the outputs. And there are some more additional features as well, where the monitoring, backup, and encryptions. There are a lot of things happen, and the portability, right? There are a lot of advantages are there in current automations tools available. Right. So we'll move into the benefits of the automations. Right. So if you move to the benefits of the automations, mainly uh, reducing the cost, increase the productivity, increase the availability, greater reliability, better performance. Right. Let me explain one by one in simple terms. So reduce cost. That means so automating a repeatable operational task such as your application deployments and service fulfillment, change and release management, and patch management, like those are like common things that happen in most of the organizations. So these things can help IT operations to save money by operating more efficiently, making fewer errors and reduce the head count. So let's say you are doing the patching for one of like your server farm, not like daily but monthly or like quarterly. So then if you could be able to automate, so what are the patches, what are the packages, what are the updates need to be pulled and execute, and what are the repos need to be updated, and what are the packages need to be updated, what kind of files that need to be removed, so what are the partitions that need to be upgraded, and what are the shared locations, maybe the NFS need to be linked. So like if you could be able to automate such things, even from the organization perspective, they see like, so like they would be able to reduce the number of it count, but that not be a good news for you. But anyway, it's again like a benefit for you as well. So you have more free time, and it's like a challenging task, right? So doing automation is not an easy task. I'm not saying it's a hard thing, but it's again challenging thing. So but if you automate things, that is another learning point for you as well. Increase productivity. So basically, we know automation eliminates your manual work, including your manual testing, checking outputs, like they monitoring things. You doesn't need to like spin up the server, go and check whether the server's health check is fine and all, because everything is being monitored. So there are kind of automation tools available where everything will be comes as a report. So you can automate this, but need to be check and all. So when you spin up a machine, you should be able to get a report of that. Then you can see the health and everything. Um, right. So then productivity increases means, since you have now more time, um, your organization are freeing up the workers to focus more into more important projects, so they can pay attention to like some more important projects, and they can move some of the resources into other projects to maybe uh, implement the same automation there. Then they can improve their revenues as well. Increase the availability, right? So most important priority of the organization is the availability. So most of organizations in world, they are running 24/7, because they need to keep up and running their software or system or applications, the whatever their product to be run 24/7. That's why the people are there for operations teams who are managing the entire system 24/7. If there are any issues, they need to quickly jump into that and fix that. So they're managing the 24/7 team. So but by automating these things, right, we are like more sure, so these things are automated, so we don't need to like pay much attention for that, because it's automatically runtime anyway. We need to like look at that, but anyway, it's a kind of like a reduce of risk, because we know it's already automated. So now we don't have such risk on that part. Yep. So basically, it can reduce the downtimes and facilitate the disaster recovery more quickly, and some setting up more proactive alerts to keep the systems up and running. So we can identify the errors, something going to be happen before. Then we can like take some workarounds or actions, precautions, likewise. And greater reliability. So automating tedious repetitive task, reduce costly error by eliminating the human factor, that is well known one, and by automating a repetitive manual business processes, like IT operation managers can greatly improve the reliability, while at the same time relieve their workers of these BAU manual tasks. So they can put their workers into like some more interesting things rather than doing some basic BAU work, and the better performance. So now you have more time, your workers are happy, like your engineers happy, you also happy, because you have some more work, you can do something beyond that. So that's what the organization also expect from you, not doing the same thing again and again. They're expecting some innovation from you, they're expecting some enhancement from you for the existing systems, right? So your performance will be increased, and you can like do more to your organizations as an engineer. And from the organization perspective, they can provide more benefits to their workers as well. All right, so that this is commonly about the automation, why we should use automation, pros and cons, and the basically the benefits of the automations. All right, so now I would like to move into the shell part. um yeah, shell. What is shell? Shell is an application running on top of kernel and provides command line interface to the system. So you can see in the below, you can see the URL as well. You can click on that URL and go there and as well once we share the slides. But in the right side down, you can see a small picture which I have taken from the internet, where you can see the CPU and then the kernel, and after that you have the shell and the user. So user is outside in the three circles. The whatever the in the middle, the CPU means the hardware. So all your peripherals, that hardware devices, are inside the CPU. So then CPU you have, and then you have the kernel, CPU, kernel, and the shell. So all these components, including all these components, we can call it as a operating systems. But there are some more components as well. But right now, you can assume CPU, kernel, and your shell. contain, it's the main part of the operating system. So anyway, you have the kernel at the middle of your picture. CPU is the hardware. After that, it has the kernel. So what kernel does? So kernel does is, so user is outside. Whenever user want to pass the instruction, user cannot pass the instructions directly to the kernel or a CPU or hardware. There should be a way of interpreting things to the kernel, because user is passing a message which is not identified by the CPU or a kernel, but there's a shell. So shell is the person who interpret that message into that readable format to the kernel to pass into the CPU or the hardware. So shell interacts in between the kernel and the user, so it can able to pass the message from the user to the kernel and kernel to the user as well. So it is basically a simple application, or not a simple application, it's an application which is running on top of the kernel to provide command line interface to the system. So basically this is a command line interface, but there are some packages once you install that you will get some graphical user interface as well, but basically as a core it's a command line interface, right? So so this is a process of this process users commands, so gather inputs from the user and execute the program. So that means whenever a user logs into the system, so let's say you are SSHing to a Linux machine, or you are accessing the machine physically by giving the username and password. So that means you, whenever you log into the system or you open a new console, let's say you are having the console and you right click and open new console, what happen is it will automatically, in both ways it will automatically open a new shell. That means that you will open a new session on top of kernel, uh, on top of a kernel. That means it's open a new shell on top of kernel, right? So the kernel is the heart of the operating system, where it will take the inputs from the hardware and passes to the shell as well. So there are different type of shells. So now you can see the CPU, kernel, and the shell. So there are different shells available in the picture. So you can see TCH, SCH, SH, bash, CSH, KSH. There are different terms of shells. So basically, originally SH is the shell which basically arrived. We call it as a bond shell. So it basically developed by AT&T Bells, like long time back. It is known as the first Unix shell ever, denoted as .sh. So basically, you have seen like most of the time when we are renaming the scripts, we write it as a .sh. And you might be able to see whenever you log into the some of Solaris machine, older machines, like your shell comes as .sh, shells, which has some minimum information and like minimum features. However, the bond shell, that means SH, has some major drawbacks. That was a reason uh, of the improvement of the shell. So every time if you see the drawbacks, so that is a challenging one. So that is the turning point of the improvement of the technology. So the shell had some, not had, actually it has some drawbacks, but nowadays we have another kind of shells which has more capabilities than the bond shell. So what are the drawbacks of that shell? It doesn't have the inbuilt functional to handle the logical arithmetic operation. I'll show you some example which shell gives a different output and bash give another different output. And the bond shell doesn't cannot recall the previous use command. Like in bash, you are executing, you are pressing the up arrow key, right? Up arrow key, and take the previous commands. But in shell, if you are using the bond shell, that feature won't work. Also, lack of comprehensive features to offer the proper interactive use as well. So the complete, so however the shell's complete path, the execution path locates at /binsh or sbinsh. By default it uses a prompt hash sign for the root and dollar sign for non-root users. Then we have something called KSH, which is known as a cron shell, KORN, cron shell. It is also made on top of Bourne shell, which offers arrays and string function manipulation for the C programming languages. Also, it supports some of the scripts were written for the C shell. So there's another shell called C shell. so it support with that as well. And then we'll talk about the bash shell. So bash means newer new version of the shell. We call it as a born again shell, not the born shell, born again shell, BASH, born again shell. So it has a lot of like all the drawbacks had on sh has been fixed in the bash. That means most popularly we know it as a bash shell, and was designed compatible with the born shell, and it has useful features from the different type of shells, like cron shell and C shell. So it has a like all the advantage, like all the plus point of all other shells. Like it like it's a collection of that, and it allows us to automatically recall the previous use commands and edit them using our up arrow keys and down arrow keys. Seashell, it is a BST introduced Seashell. Again, it has some more different capabilities, and it denoted as CSH. And it basically useful for program features like inbuilt features for arithmetic operation and syntax, like similar to the C programming languages as well. And TSH, again, it is a similar of the CSH but with more features. And ZSH, Z shell, so it is like again good for generate file names based on given conditions, plugins, index inbuilt functions, and command completion. Like there are some more features as well, but however, within all these shells, the main popular mostly used shell is the bash, so that is something we prefer to use that. Okay, and there will be some term called subshell. Subshell is another shell. It is a uh, in a simple term, it is a child process which is launched by a shell, main shell. So just as your commands are interpreted at the end of the command prompt, similarly does the stripped batch process the list of the command. So that means whenever you execute the bash command, it will open another subshell, right? So each shell script running in effect sub process, that means the child process of a parent shell. All right, so that's about the shell, and you can see the diagram. So it's like very easy to understand where the shell locates and why it's there and how it like what's the purpose of that. It would be in the interpreted the messages passed from the user to the CPU or the hardware, and the from the hardware to the user. Right. Shell scripting. Right. Shell scripting is a program to write a series of commands for shell to execute. That means simply, so if you read the term and the second line, okay, it can combine lengthy and repetitive sequences of commands into single and simple scripts that can be stored and executed anytime, which reduce the programming effort. So if you read the definition, right, it has few things: run on shells, set of commands, sequence order. It's a single file to reduce effort and execute automatically, right? So if you remember the advantages of the automation, the all are there. Run on shell, that means it will provide the greater reliability. It will run on the shell, so no need to like pay attention. It will run on the shell, and it is a set of commands, so it's basically the Linux. So if you know the Linux, you know how to do the shell script. Shell script is nothing but it doesn't have the different language. It's the same way. It's the same way of Linux commands. So if you know the commands, you can put all the commands into a file, and it will be run the entire file. How the file will run in a sequence on order. That means from top to bottom. All the lines are going to be executed from top to bottom. But if there are any errors from that error point, that script will be exit. So you need to put correct commands in a sequence order, then only it will be run one by one by one, right? One line at a time. So that increase the availability, and all are in a single file. So it's very easy, right? No need to copy the commands and put it everywhere there. So you can put all into single file, then you can run the file. So once the during the runtime of the file, that your all the lines are going to be executed. and it reduce the effort. That means it reduce the cost, increase the productivity, and it execute automatically. That means again it increase the productivity, so it run automatically. You can check whether the script is running or not, whether it's completed or not. You can enable the logs, you can check the process, right? Likewise you can monitor it. So shell script is interpreted, it's not compiled. So if anyone know what is the interpreter and the compile, interpreter means it's a run through a program, line by line execute the each command. So that means shell script is a interpreter, not a compile. When compile means that it's a language converted directly into the machine code. No, here it will convert it automatically convert. That means it's run through a program line by line to execute each command. Right. So we'll move into the uh, some of the basic part of the shell scripting. First, we look at the variables. Okay. When it comes to variables, there are two type of variables available. One is local variables, and our other one is global variables. Local variables means variables which you are defined in your current shell, and the global variables means the variables which are defined commonly. That means that variable value can be accessible by any user anytime, even any shell. But local variables, once you define a variable in the current shell, it won't be available in a different shell. That means, right? Okay, so local variables only visible to the current shell, not inherited by subshells. Global are inherited by subshells. That means for the child processors to provide a simple way to share the configurations. So there are some limitations when you are creating and assigning a value to the variable. Variables cannot be starting with the special character. It is case sensitive. You can add you cannot add the number or a digit at the starting point of the variable. No any special characters at the beginning, and no iterate or dashes in the middle of the names, right? So the rest of the types of names are available, eligible. And local variables mostly you can define in any of the way with any of the name, but most of time global variables which we are calling as environment variables are comes as upper cases. That means all letter sign capital letters. We can see how the what are the available global variables, that means environment variables. By executing the env command, you can see later set of environment variables. So environment variables are differ from user to user. For the root user it might have the different, and for the users there can be different environment variables. You can create your own environment variables by editing some bash RC or bash profile files, but it's up to you to change things. Right. Okay. When we are assigning a value to the variables, you might have seen sometimes we use single quotes, sometimes we use double quotes, sometimes we use back quotes. Back quotes means the whatever the below in the tilde mark, right? So each the way of working the single quotation, double quotation, or back quotes are different. Three different things, but sometimes it works same. I'll show you that at the end of the demo, but for now just remember there are differences as well. So the better way is to use the double quotation all the time. um yeah, so then few basics of scripting. We're going to see about some of the special characters and integer arithmetic operations, arrays, and some of the control construct. That means conditionals, if else, switch cases, and loops. We have the while loops, and it's same as goes with the until loops, right? So basically when we are talking about the special characters, hash will represent the comment line. It won't be execute, it just a print of like for a readability perspective when someone read your script. And the dollar sign indicate the name of the variable. So when you assign a value to variable, it needs dollar value to represent to read the value of the variable, and backslash to escape the character to display next the character literally. And you use the curly braces to read the variable, and the semicolon to integrate to few commas, and double and sign, and the pipe sign to take the output of the previous command and to input of the second command. And redirection, you have the single redirection, double redirection to pass the input standard input, output, and standard errors, and dollar question mark to retrieve the exit status. So likewise, there are a lot of special characters available to perform the different operations. We'll see how we check few things at the demo end. Okay. Right. And the functions, okay, Linux also have some function, but not such like good with when we compare to the Python, but it has very simple functions available where you can define the function name and you can reuse the functions. Basically, the default, by default, all the variables are global when you use the functions, and modifying the variable in the function changes the whole scripts, and you can create your local variables you using the local commands, and which is invisible outside the functions as well. And we're looking into some advanced text processing commands and regular expressions. Okay, so what is regular expressions? We, in short term, we call it as a regexp, regular expression, and regexp and regex both uh, refers the same thing. In Linux, regular expressions, that means a regular expression and print, that's how the regex came. That's how the grep command came. The name grep means a global regular expression and print. Basically, the Linux regular expressions are the special characters which helps to search data and matching complex patterns. So regular expressions are the shortened form goes of regexp and regex. Regex are describe the patterns in strings. These patterns basically can be used to modify the strings, and there are so many like nowadays there are different flavors also inherent with that as well. And when it comes to grep is like a more powerful tool where you can search strings, you can replace things, you can search files, you can search the content inside the file. You can change the content, like there are like it is like quite like more powerful tool when you are searching something on the text files, basically within the text files. And then SED set command, the basically which is useful for when you are doing some streaming editor. So sed is coming as a stream editor where you can perform changes without making changes to file. There are ways that you can change the file content of the file as well, but there are ways without changing the file you can stream the action and you can see the output without affecting the content of the file. So that is one important one of the advantage of that set file as well. So you should be able to pipe the other information, relevant information. If you're passing a file or a folder or a content, you should pipe that information into the set command. That means you should pass the output of the file into the set command. It is a line oriented, operate one line at a time, allow, and it use the S for substitution command to search something and replace. There are some use cases for set command. I'll show that in a demo session. Right. So when it comes to the grep, I forget to mention there are some options available. So grep has a few more different like grep commands called as egrep and execgreps. So execgrep mainly we use for compressed file, and egrep is used for extended grep. That means if you need to grep for different search strings, you can go for grep minus e or egrep. Um, Extended grep, right? So and you have some other options called like minus I to case insensitive, or for recursive where you need to find something inside the folders and all, and invert search for minus V, and L for listing, and minus N to get the number of searches, and minus A and minus B, the whatever the content after the search and before the search. Likewise, there are so many options available where you can look at the manual pages and get some more information. And then the awk commands. Awk is like again kind of powerful tool, a programming language that allows users to process and manipulate the data and produce the formatted report. So basically awk commands, we use awk commands to uh, print the output in a formatted way. or put the information content into the file in a formatted way where I can easily uh, filtered the content from the output, where the columns and the lines it can be easy like easily put it into different files where you can define what is the delimiter from where you need to be breaks and how many characters that you need to be pulled. So such information can be passed into the op. So that also work with the pipe command, where you can provide the cat output to the file, or you can mention the file with the awk command, so it will take the output of the previous command as input, then it will do the execution. So it scan a file line by line, splits each input into different fields, and it compares the line output and fields to pattern and perform the actions measurement on the lines. So basically, it uses a dollar sign to identify the raw number, starting with $0 and 1, 2, 3, likewise. And number of lines, you can catch all the number of line by NR feature. Yeah, so by default, the delimiter is a space or a tab, but you can customize this if you need it by passing minus capital F function. Like, so there are a lot of like customizations you can do, and there are so many powerful tools available. So especially when it comes to the shell scripting and automation, you should have understanding about the grep, sed, and awk commands, as well as some other commands called like cut and tr. Like there are so many commands available, but uh, these things are like commonly used things. So I think that it's better to have the good understanding of the basics command when it comes to shell scripting. um, right, so let's move into the small demo part. So that's what I have planned for this. And yep, yep. Hope you guys can see my screen as well. So here I have create few scripts for ease of to for the time management perspective as well. Right, for in the first one you can see variable script. So this is how you're going to set the variable. So here I'm passing a value to the variable and I'm printing that, and then again I'm passing another value to a variable called variable 2. So if you look at this file, you can see in here it's not like some other programming languages. Linux, we doesn't need to declare the variable type, whether it's a init or a string or whatever. It automatically, whatever the value what we are going to assign, will create the variable type automatically. So here I have passed the dash lines to keep the content clear, that you can visibly see the information as well. In here I pass the backslash minus s n to print the every output into a new line, to take that backslash minus n. uh, I pass minus c, otherwise it won't capture minus n as a new line character. So however, I'm going to execute the scripts. Before that, we need to know when you are writing a script, how we going to be started. So basically, in a script, you are most of time we are starting with the hash bin bash. What is hash bin bash? Hash bin bash means, have you heard about shebang? This is the interpreter. This is what we say is all of our commands, all the rest of the commands should be executed on top of bash shell. I can change this into the bin sh. Then what happens is all of my commands are running on top of shell, bone shell, not on top of the bash shell. So likewise, I can decide. So this is where I should mention these commands need to be executed on top of this given shell. So what is the shell? Which I have mentioned as a shebang, right? So before that, let me, okay, I have created a small example there, right? Okay, so there are two strips I have created. One is sh strips. You can see the sh strips, and another one bash strips. So you can see the content is same, right? So this script and this script content is same. Only the different is the shebang. Here the shebang is bin sh. Here shebang should be. Let me change it. It should be bin bash, right? Now right? Okay. So only difference in the first line, it has a sh. Here it has a uh, bash. Okay. Now I'm going to run the scripts. My commands doesn't have the execution power, so then I couldn't run the file with this way, right? So it won't work. The reason is I don't have the execution power, so it won't work. So anyway, I'm not going to give the execution power. I'm just running the scripts with mentioning the shell. Okay. uh, sh underscore. So this way it will run, because now it doesn't need execution power, because I'm mentioning what is the shell that need to be run. Anyway, it will run from the sh script, right? So now what happen is it will give such output. But if I run my bash script from the bash shell, you can see the output. So now you can see what is the difference of having the different shells. So you need to pay your attention to use the correct shell for your program. Otherwise, it will give you different output. So there are like very smaller like changes happen. But anyway, there are changes. So then make sure to use the correct shell. So now you can see the same script runs from the different shells. You got the different outputs. All right. So we'll move into the things very quickly. Yeah, first one will be the variables one, where let me run that hash variable. See the output of that, how it came this way. That means you got the output as 10 from I assigned the value 10 to the var1, and you got the output, and then you got the dash line. Then the hello world, you got the output. So then I assign a floating value, so it also got printed. So likewise, so whatever the value I added will be printed here. And then finally I have provided the minus e option, where you can see the hello world and the output. The finally, and I have executed the date command, where you can see the complete date as a output. That means, so whatever the Linux command that I'm executing can be added as a script. So these are the commands I executed. Since it's a command, it can be added as a script, right? That means instructions are executing from top to bottom. Second one will be the special characters, where uh, hash means a comment line which is not going to be printed anyway. And then we can use the this is a variable. So if you think about that, we haven't like assigned any value to this variable. So where this variables comes from, this is environment variable. So if I execute the env command, you can see a lot of environment variables available. So if I grab user variable, so this is the user variable. So user variable output is root. So if you found it from here, it is there, right? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to print that one. Okay. So here I have the command line. It won't work. So there won't be any issues because it's print after that. So this won't work anyway. So the output will be echo user. So we'll get the output as, did I execute my command? No, I didn't execute. Okay. Root. So output came as a root first, and then can you see in the second line, I use the same thing. Second line, I use the same thing, and I try to escape the special character. I try to escape the special character. Then what happens is it just print the dollar user part. So second time it print the dollar user part. See, dollar user part. If I didn't eliminate that one, what happens is it will definitely execute the dollar user as output, and it will give you a output as a root. And then I create a variable called var, which is assigned with the 300 value. Then I assign a try to print the value from $var and $var like us in different ways. So each and every time when I print like this, it will print in the correct way. Here it takes as a correct way. Here it gives it as a correct way, but in this case it won't give me the correct output. It will just print as a $var, right? So in this case, 300 300 300 and $var, it just print the $var. And the final echo one, I just give the entire command within the back codes. That means it will execute this as a command, right? So if I execute this as a echo $var, I should give the 300 value. So that is what it provides the output as 300. So then I execute a couple of commands by passing a semicolon. So semicolon is to pass different commands in a order. So first date command, pwd command, and the uname minus v command. So likewise, you can use the same way, the double and present, double and signs for same way. If you need to concatenate different commands, like accordingly execute first one, second one, third one, you can use semicolon or double and present. And you can use the pipe sign to do any kind of like take the output of this command as an input of this. So here I use the translate, where I'm going to capture the date percentage b. I'm trying to capture the month, and the output is comes with the September, which is starting S in capital and rest of the letters in simple cases. So I try to translate the all the lowercase into the uppercase. So that's what I got the output as September in all caps. And then I tried pipe sign with the WC minus L, which is the line count, where I got the line count here. And then I use the greater than sign, where I need to pass the output into a different file called line count. So I'm going to cat my line count file, so I can see the same value there. Then finally, I wanted to pass a different value, which is the wrong option. So there is no option for minus p for WC. So if I pass this, what happens is this command does not execute. Due to that, it will pass a error message, right? So I'm going to execute this one, cat test WC minus p. This is not a working command, right? Because there is no option called minus p, so it trigger a error message. So I'm passing that error into another file. But so now you can see your terminal is clean, but your error message move into the error file. So that's how you pass that your standard outputs and standard errors. All right. Next will be the arrays. So we talk about the arrays. Uh, Here I'm using an array. We have an array called fruits. So I have three elements, apple, orange, and mango, where I'm going to print my first element. This is how I'm going to print the first element. First element comes as the zeroth index, first index likewise. Then I'm going to add another as a third index as a pineapple. Then I'm going to print all the elements in my array. That's how I'm going to represent by a dollar sign. And this way how I going to find out what are the total number of elements have there with the hash sign. And this is how you're going to delete element in the first. That means you are going to delete the orange, then again printing all the elements. See how it's going to be work. See, apple, orange only. So then you can see the apple, orange, and mango and pineapple, all uh, all the elements. The total number of that is 4, and I'm going to delete the first element. So now apple, mango, and pineapple. Right. So then basically the if else script, where you can see there are three if one if statement. Secondly, you can see the if else. Then you can see the nested if. So first one, I'm trying to capture whether the user is a root or not. Whether I'm checking the string value of that the variable, whether it's exactly matches that. If not, it will if it matches, it pass this echo. If not, it will just exit from the script. And var as 100, then I'm checking whether the value is greater than that. If I print this, if not, I print this message. But in this case, what if the value is less than what is the value if equal to 100? This line is not correct, because I might need to check whether the value is less than 100, greater than 100, or whether it is equal to 100. So that's why we have integrated that as like first it will check with the greater than value, then the less than value, then it will find out, okay, if it is not greater than, if it is not less, it should definitely be the equal to the 100. So you can see you username is root, variable is greater than 100 in a first if else case, and the first one is second one the variable is greater than 100. So that's how it's going to be matched. Fifth one, okay. Uh, Okay, fifth one, we are going to check whether the test.txt file is available. So test.txt, how we going to check whether the file is available by passing a minus e option. So if it is available, it should provide the first echo. If not, it will provide the second echo. Right, then checking whether the directory is available, how you check that by passing a minus d option. Again, I have the two statement if the directory is available and if not, the directory is not available. And then I'm going to create a new file to check whether the content is zero or not. So if I create a new file from the touch command, that means I don't have any content, so the file size should be definitely zero. So I'm checking whether the file size is zero or not. So here I have a file. I don't have a something called test.txt, but I don't have a indirectory called shell. So the both the first two if statement shouldn't be work. So both should go to the else part, but in the third if condition should be passed, right? So I'm going to execute that as well. S. File is not exist, no directory called, but the file size is zero. See, okay. My file directory name is shares, and I don't have test.txt, but I have file called test, right? Uh, and so then I create another one to check whether the numeric operation, how we going to check numeric values, like where are you going to check with two integers, whether the number is equal to next number and whether it's a greater than or not. So likewise, you can pass different values. So equal minus eq, greater than minus gt, greater than or equal minus ge. So likewise, you can pass things. And here I use the o operator to check the both the condition. If the both conditions are matches or either one of matches, it will pass. If neither of them work, then it will go to the else part. Like, so 20 is greater than c, none of our numbers are greater than 5. All right, so seventh one, user input. So here this strips uh, print you some message to grab your user input and print it. So here how it going to be print the first. So this is something visible for you, and you have to enter your output input. So once it entered, it will be captured as a name variable. Then it will print the message goodbye with your name. Okay, this is how it's going to be work. So I'm going to execute it. So now prompt is to me to enter my name. So I'm going to enter my name. So it says a goodbye Heshan. This is how you're going to create a script with the user inputs. So now next one. This is a small calculator, right? Small calculator which we can create using a bash. So where the first input would be your number one, second input would be your number two, and then it asks the what kind of operation that you need to be, like either it's a like addition, subtraction, multiplication or division, right? So then you have to provide the whatever the operation, then finally it will do the whatever the operation need to be done. So when you pass the number a as a character, it will do the addition. If you pass b, it will do that thing. C multiplication, d division, subtraction, right? That's how it works. So all things are defined in the if else statements. How we going to do the arithmetic operation? By using the expr expression will do the calculation of the two elements, not only limited to the two elements, two numbers, but you can use any other variables, like number of variables, to do the calculation. So else, so last else would be if you, what if that you pass any other character, then it won't work. So that's what captured here. It's automatically captured, it's as an invalid operation, right? Let's see how it works. 10, 20, and the operation, let me pass number b. we do the 10 minus 20, the output will be the minus 10. That's how it works. So basically it works like that way. All right. Yep. Quickly follow one follow. So first follow, this is my first follow. It is just to print the values from number 1 to number 10. So for I will be the value which is assigning values from this array. So first time the I will be 1 and will be print 1, and then again go to the follow. Second time 1 to 10, 2 will be assigned to 1, print 2, again go there, and 3 will be assigned to I. Likewise 1 to 10 numbers will be printed from top to bottom. And there is a second for loop which will be going to read the file. Okay, so this is a good thing where there's a third party file available called test.txt. I'll show the content. So that content, the first line will be copied into the line variable, and the first line will be printed, and second go there and read the second line. So until the number of lines will be completed, it will read the file and print the output. Okay, so this is the output of the test file. You can see the file content like space 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and this is how even I execute my script. 1 to 10 the values are printed, and the hash line and the test file content, right? um, okay, then I have while loop. So here I'm statically passing one of my file pass wt, which has the all the user information to a file variable. Then I'm going to read that file. So here, right? So I'm going to read line by line, or each line will be assigned as a variable. How I'm going to pass the file? Here I'm going to pass it as input, right? So I'm going to do the how this is how we configure the while loop, where starting the do and ending it done. Here I'm going to pass the file means the etc password as an input, where then each line by line will be recorded as a line variable, then you're going to print it. So until the number of line got ended, all the etc password lines will be printed using this while loop. So this is infinite loop until the number of lines get ended. Okay, this is another way, the same way where you can create the test file, right? Again, you pass it as the ifs character to read the line by line and print the lines. Okay, so these are two different things. Ifs mean the internal file separator that is used for the word splitting and the expansion of split lines into the words with the read built-in commands, right? So that's how it works, and let me show you how that executes version, right? So this is how we create the test.txt file, and this is the content of the my etc passwd file, right? um yep. All right, so then I have something called another while loop example. Yeah. So here there's another while loop example which is starting with the number 1, and I'm going to increase the number one by one each time, and it will run until 5 comes. So it is checking whether the $x value is less than or equal 5. Less than or equal 5 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 includes, that means this runs for 5 times. The loop will run 5 times. So every time it prints the welcome number times. So this is how it's going to be work. Welcome 1, welcome 2, welcome 3, like welcome 4, and welcome 5 likewise. Okay. Right, so next the final one will be arguments, which is a kind of interesting part. Here we pass the argument. So this is switch case. So why we need to use switch case? So if you can use the if else, but what if that you have so many conditions? If else is okay if you have like 4 to 5 conditions, but what if that you have the 100 conditions? You can't write nested if, like 1,000 nested if. In that case you can go with the switch case, where it is easy to match the case. Each case you have like 2 lines, number of 2 lines are there. You can put whatever the case that you are looking for and the output. So this is how you are going to match it, and whatever the things which are not available for rest of things can be captured by the asterisk function. Here I'm passing the value as an argument. Here you can see the argument is, and I'm printing the $1. $1 means the first argument I am passing while I am executing the strip. So that will comes as an argument, and it will check whether the argument is morning. If I pass the morning, I get the output of this. If I pass the afternoon as the argument, I get this. If I pass evening as argument, I get this. If I pass night as, I get output. If I pass anything else of these, I got this. Okay, this is how it's going to be work. So let's assume I'm going to uh, I forgot to pass anything, that I'm getting in output. If I pass morning, I get morning. If I pass something evening, I get good evening. Like, so that's how it works. uh yeah, so that's it. I try to complete, and I think it looks good. And finally, before moving to the end of the slides, right, yeah, so demo, and yeah, I just need to give you some idea about the how the bash scripting works with the DevOps culture. So we know, like, when it comes to DevOps, like, the DevOps pipeline, how the stages process, how it works. So what is the intention to use the bash scripting into DevOps? So basically, if you are a, like, system administrator and you need to create some script run during the boot up time, so it's very easy to manage the shell scripting. Yeah, if you have the Linux machine, you can execute the scripts in a boot up time. There are bash RC, bash profiles files where you can put everything, and it will be automatically run during the boot up time. And you can run the scripts with on demand time, like whenever you need, you can just go then execute the script, and you can change the behavior of that without opening a file. You can pass it as arguments, like, and you can run the scripts in a scheduled manner. So if you have the cron jobs running, do you know about cron jobs? Then you can configure it, then it will run on a particular time, that given time. And you can use the grep commands to search patterns, and set command to stream the things, or commands to, like, find the particular columns and all. And when it comes to automation perspective, the boot up scripts, yeah, you have the system init scripts are running, system d files are running. It's very easy for the administrators to create the users, like configure the storage, mounting, and such kind of all the administration works. And when it comes to package management and the repo configurations, it can be automated, and everything can be, like, manually done, and the patch management. So anyway, by looking at the shell scripting in DevOps perspective, so these are the things which motivate myself, where I can create any ad hoc task. So let's say there are 100 of servers available, where I need to uh, reboot all 100 of machines. Can I go for, like, any other configuration management tool? Yes, I can, but it kind of like additional effort, right? But in that case, if I need to perform any ad hoc task very quick manner, the best way is to go with the shell scripting. And it is very easy to understand, right? So there is no different programming language. If you know the Linux command, it is complete set of Linux command, right? If you work with Linux, you can just open the shell script and read everything. It's very easy, and no need any external programs. You doesn't need to any third party programs, no need any API calls, right? It just work on your Linux machine, Linux shell. And it's portable on, like, most of Linux systems, unless the shell and the changes change. You can copy your same script into a different machine and execute it, and you can share it within, like, your internet. And um, you can customize that by passing variables, by passing arguments. You can reuse them, passing the functions, and you can see the debug running. So when it comes to scripts, when you execute the scripts with the bash command, you can pass minus x. So minus x will give you the all the input and the output, the command and the output. Likewise, you can see the debug mode, and you can find out any failures where it's going to be fail. And if your script's going to be fail, it won't execute the rest of the things, right? So if the third line got failed, fourth, fifth, sixth won't be got executed. So you have to run from the fourth, fifth, and sixth. So it won't, like, do any miscellaneous things if the third line got error. And yeah, there are statements, there are switch cases, there are conditions, there are loops, there are while loops, until loops. So there are a lot of, and there are operators available, string operators, numeric operation operators, and you use the pipe sign and signs operators. So all the most of the programming languages, their properties are still available with the shell scripting. uh, all right, so I think it's the final part of the session. So it's up to you for the questions.
Yes, since we have a few more minutes left in our schedule, the viewers, you can ask any questions you have about the session or bash away the competition in general. Let's wait a few minutes for the questions.
Just to give some idea about the sample question, how it going to do in like competition. Um, as a sample question, I would say you might get some tasks where you have the number of names in a file where you could able to capture the names and create the folders from that name, and you have to copy the content from the different files so it has the same name. So you create the folders from that names, and you copy the content from the same names, and you have to compress that files where then you need to originally delete the original files. So those are the basic steps or basic assessment you might get during the competitions as well.
Yes, sir. So as for the tools of this a question like that, we could use mkdir to create directories, and to compress these files, we could use zip or gzip.
Yeah, so basically to create the directories, we can definitely use the mkdir commands and all. And for the zip, yeah, you can use the tarball as well. But if the question is doesn't if the question exact didn't mention doesn't mention about the what kind of zip tool you use, you are free to use a tarball as well. And for zip also works.
For the competitors, we will be sharing a sample question and a sample answer after the third mentoring session. So that will be on 29th or the 30th. So before the competition, you can try that question and get familiar with the session. Okay, sir. It seems that there are no questions available at the moment. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for sharing all your valuable information with us. And thank you for the viewers that were with us all this time. And we'll conclude the session for now. We are hoping to see you again on the second mentoring session, and of course on the completion day on October 1st. Thank you very much, Heshan, Dharmasena, sir, and we will see you next time.
Okay.